come here to climb and my boyfriend's like impressing the fucking dudes who literally get paid to be here and climb and show people how to do it.
I mean, you know...
And I'm having to sit there and like, okay, is anyone gonna actually show me what I'm supposed to do, or are you guys just gonna keep geeking out about this fucking harness hook?
No, it's all about the hook at this point.
All about that hook.
You have to forfeit everything at that point, I feel.
Speaking of hooking, we've been playing a lot of Dead by Daylight recently. It's a good spooky season game. I mean, you can play it all the time, but like with it being October, it just feels like seasonally correct.
Yeah, the fact that just about all of the characters, other than the base game ones, are... Well, I mean, all of them are...
even those are still, like, horror mythological...
If they're not directly from a movie, they are at least based off of one of those movies.
Yeah, or something
like
in a story, some kind of scary story.
Have you actually read any of their lore pages? They all have, like, memes and shit.
I've been starting to. Like, I read one for the Wraith, and, like, it starts out, I mean, I'll be honest, they're all voiced. Like, and they'll play read out, and I really like that because they put in that extra effort that they really don't have to. Like, I'm sure not that many people listen to the lore that you can, I mean, you can read the character page, but you can also earn, like, voiced lore pages as you go on. So, well, I've been earning some, and, like, some of them are really interesting to listen to, because, like I said, they're read, so you don't really have to sit there and read them, and they do a really good job. I'm excited, because, it's spooky season!
And hey, you know what? Even if we are locked inside, guess what? You can still enjoy being spooked from indoors. In fact, the anxiety helps.
Yeah, honestly, it's like the agoraphobia just sets in.
And
you're like, ah!
But yeah, we're here with a couple of spooks, a couple of jukes, and you know what? We're excited because you know we had the boys on the podcast last time. This is the boys from the Wiener Nova, you know those guys. But I mean, the previous one we also had a somewhat special episode too. So I mean, like, I'm kind of excited just to get back in here and just duke it out, just have a regular old podcast, you know?
Yeah. Earlier we were discussing, like, well, it's October, do we want to, like, focus on spooky things or not? And since our last solo episode, we did, you know, just that horror movie, I would like to continue for the rest of our podcast till the end of spooky season. My topics will be all spooky related.
You know what? How about right now, right here, let's just make it a thing. October is spooky month, and
I mean, it is.
We should,
it's already a thing.
Should it definitely... Well, I mean, it's a thing, but I'm saying, like...
For the podcast.
Officially, it's a thing.
Okay.
Spooky season. Anyway, you just want to jump right on into one of these, or did you...
I do, because I'm super excited. I had this thought once Mason said spooky season. I remember this post when it was written. I used to be a big Tumblr fan. I used it up until, like, 2 years ago, and then...
Do you want to start with something lighter, or do you just want to jump
I just want to jump right into this. I'm gonna explain. It's, you know, we got a light intro to it. I'm not just gonna be like, okay, let's summon the devil.
Mine'll be a good cool down. So
okay,
sounds good.
This post comes from the Tumblr Sixpence. That's Sixpence with 3 E's at the end. It was written the 16th of August, 2015, and it is part of their Forgotten Dares series. I recommend reading them. They're all fun, spooky reads. However, I will say this right now.
Uh-oh.
Please, everyone who's listening.
Is that a...
Listen very closely to what I'm about to say.
Explicit content disclaimer.
Do not play any of these games. Do not fuck with the paranormal. Just don't do it. Like, some people believe in the paranormal, some people don't. That's fine. However, I just want to say, just for the record, don't do it. So that I have said that, and if you do it, this doesn't come back on me. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't fuck with this shit.
Do not contact devil. Do not contact ghosts. Do not contact dead people. Just don't. However, read about it. It's fun.
You know,
and watch paranormal videos. That's fun. You know, get your kicks that way instead. Let the professionals handle that.
I love how this is the first, like, really big disclaimer you're giving on your own.
Oh, I know. But, like, I listened. This was, like, a couple months ago, I'm a big fan of Morbid Podcast. They have a episode where they've done ghost games.
Yeah.
And they disclaimered that throughout the entire episode, and I was really glad because I understand people are going to want to play these games. There's even a little part of me that's like, ooh, play the game. But also, my brain says do not play the game.
Just like for your own mental health, but also for your computer's physical health, don't do that.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about like murders and stuff recently. Anyways, I read this when I was in high school, and I almost shit myself when I read it because it scared the crap out of me. But
we all have one of these.
I love this. Like, I still remember it 5 years later, and it still freaks me out to think about it. This is Forgotten Dare number 4, The Devil's Game. This is a set of instructions for how to speak with the devil. So that is literally what it says. I will not say if I think that this works or not. I've never played. I can't say that. Again, do not play. You're gonna need a full can of salt, 7 candles, preferably red or white, something to light the candles with, a length of red string, rope, yarn, or thread, a full-length floor or wall mirror. You might also find it useful to bring markers, pencil, paper, a flashlight, anything to secure your entrance into a church, because that's also important. You have to do this in a church.
I assume for the highest level of safety.
Actually, no, but we'll get there.
Okay.
You are not permitted to bring in any kind of electronic or timekeeping device. This includes any kind of cell phone, smartphone, tablet, e-reader, MP3 player, PDAs, calculators, wristwatches, pocket watches, kitchen timers, hourglasses, etc. Seriously, it's worse than the SAT. If you're one of those people that likes to have your cell phone glued to your hand, don't worry, you can bring it with you. Just leave it outside the room in which you do this ritual. And if you brought a flashlight, you should also leave that outside the room too. You also, very important to note, do not bring any kind of religious paraphernalia to protect you, especially if it pertains to the Abrahamic religions. Yes, your gothy black cross earrings do count if they are hanging right side up. If you have any kind of holy symbols like that with you, the devil will just simply refuse to show up.
Not into narcs, apparently.
But don't worry, that being said, you're not being completely unprotected. In fact, most of the things that you are needing to bring with you are for your own protection, and not for summoning. Once you are there in the church and have all the right supplies with you, you make your way in, find a place to set things up. You can be in the main sanctuary where services are held, Sunday school class, a walk-in supply closet, as long as you have a sufficient amount of open floor space and are certain not to be disturbed. Set up your mirror first. This is where the devil will appear when you summon him. As such, you mustn't complete the summoning until you've laid certain wards around it. First, surround the mirror with an unbroken circle of salt. If the mirror is hanging on the wall or door, lay a semicircle around it instead, making sure that it touches the wall at both ends. Wrap your red string around the mirror several times. This is a symbol of protection in folklore of many cultures and religions. This is also why red candles are a good idea. Speaking of the candles, set them up around the circle evenly, and, try to also make sure it's even, but it doesn't need to be perfect. Light the candles in a clockwise fashion. Be careful not to disturb the salt. If you break the circle, you have to start over. Once all the candles are lit and burning strongly, your protective wards are complete. You are now ready to proceed with the actual summoning. So all of that was just to make sure that you don't, get super fucked over.
Oh, God.
If that gives any indication of where this ritual is gonna go. Not that, the devil wasn't already a pretty good indication.
Yeah, if video games ever taught me anything, it's to not make deals with Mr. Devil. So, I could definitely understand needing a very, very safe space if you wanted to talk to him.
Yeah.
Really just all about, but you also, you can't bring protection. You can't bring something to protect you, because, like you said, he's not about narcs.
This is where we get to why you need to be into a church. To get the devil's attention, you have to demonstrate your resolve by performing some sort of sacrilegious act in a holy space. It literally says turning a crucifix or cross upside down is fairly conventional, and it's not the only option, but it's pretty easy. For example, it says, I know of a kid who once fulfilled his requirement by scribbling obnoxious graffiti all over a painting of Jesus hanging in a Sunday school classroom. But the nice thing about turning a cross upside down is once you're finished, Assuming you've survived, you can just flip it right side up, and no one's the wiser, sidestepping the relatively minor and irritating risk of having your Sunday school turn into a reenactment of the Spanish Inquisition for the next month and a half.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Yeah, so, like, they're giving you options so that you don't really have to do anything to ruin the sacred space.
Also, man, I gotta love the idea of a kid once drawed a graffiti mustache on Jesus, and then the devil showed up and said, "Yo, that's fucking."
I mean, does that not
that's
sound like the
fucking-
devil being like, dude, that shit's funny. Childish, but funny.
What did you need?
What do you need? Okay, so you've done your sacrilegious, offensive thing, and now you will shut all the doors in the room, turn off all of the lights so that it is only lit by candles. Face the mirror and stare deeply into it, concentrating on your desired outcome. There are no incantations, no arcane strings of Latin you have to recite. Just look into the mirror and wish as hard as you can for the devil to appear there. After a few moments of this, when you feel ready, close your eyes and count to 10, then open them. If all has gone correctly, you will no longer see your own reflection. You will be looking at the devil, or at least looking at the way the devil has chosen to appear to you. Chances are he won't look like your conventional red-horned demon with goat legs or a pitchfork, nor any other sort of terrible apparition. No point in scaring you off now, better to lure you in, make you feel safe. To what end, he generally takes on the appearance of a fairly average, nondescript-looking human being. If anything, he's prone to vanity and will lean towards the attractive end of the spectrum. The only frightening part of him will be his eyes. No matter how hard he tries, he cannot hide the gleam of smoldering deep within him. He cannot hide the sinister gleam smoldering deep within him.
You cannot hide that smolder.
Yeah, the smolder.
I hate it.
The malevolent amusement and hunger, like the eyes of a spider contemplating a fly on a struggling web. But whatever you do, do not stare deeply into them, or you will begin to feel helpless, paralyzed with dread, and losing your hope and your will to fight. So, like, you gotta confirm that it's him by seeing the eyes, but also don't stare into them eyes.
That's what you bring a mirror. You just, it's like a Gorgon thing. But wait, that's a real contradictory thing I've seen in a lot of different media. There are some cases where to deal with Medusa, you have to like use a mirror to look at her without actually like looking at her. But then in other media, when she looks at a mirror, she breaks glass when she looks at it because her
this is
visage
different
is so...
because the devil is in the mirror, and you have to be looking at that mirror.
Oh,
you
yeah,
can't be looking at another mirror into that mirror, because I mean, I'm sure he thought of that and was like,
Oh, I mean, like, I know. This is a tangent.
No, I know. I'm just saying that's not going to work on the devil. Since you'll probably just be standing there staring at this dude in shock for a few moments, having on some level expected this to fail, he will initiate the conversation by asking what it is you desire from him. If you can gather your wits enough to string together a coherent sentence, you should respond with something like, "I wish to challenge you in a game of question and response." Even if you don't get the words exactly right, he'll know what you mean, and he'll accept your request with a wide, predatory grin of anticipation.
Is this why he does this? So he can play question and response? Is this just his favorite game?
Oh, the instructions answer that exact question in the next sentence.
Okay, sorry.
He's been playing this game for a long time, you see, and he's very good at it. For most humans, on the other hand, are very bad at it. This gives him the chance, at the very least, to mess with your mind, and at the most, well, we'll save that for the itany of shit that could go wrong section. You'll have to play it very smart to avoid justifying his expectations. The general rules of the game are simple, but there are other things that make it more complicated. He'll begin by asking you a question. He always initiates the game. It can be anything from a piece of obscure trivia, to a riddle, to an extremely personal inquiry. Don't worry, you won't be immediately plunged into hell if you get the wrong answer or anything. As a matter of fact, he won't even tell you whether you got your answer right or wrong.
That's the fun part.
Yeah. After you've answered his question, you will get to ask him one in return. Now here's where the consequences of the response come in. If you answered his last question correctly, he will respond to your question as honestly and as accurately as he is able. However, if you answered incorrectly, he is free to lie to you as he sees fit. Perhaps you've asked him something you're better off not knowing, and he'll tell you the truth about it anyway. More likely, he'll feed you the most insidious, damaging lie he can come up with. Either way, after he's responded, he'll ask you another question, and the process will repeat over and over until you decide to call it quits. Now, you may be sitting here thinking, this sounds fairly easy to get information you need. All you have to do is wait for the question you answer correctly, and then take that opportunity to ask him what you really want to know, ignoring everything else he's said. Well, it's not that simple. It never is fucking that simple!
Yeah, exactly. I mean, do you ever expect an interaction like this to go in a positive way?
The devil will never give you an easy question, one that you can be completely sure you know the answer to. He may instead give you questions that you have some vague knowledge of, and that you maybe think you know the answer to, but aren't super confident, thus forcing you to endlessly second-guess yourself, obsessing over whether or not you trust the information that he gave you next. So you see where this is going? I understand why people would want to play this, but you shouldn't, because he's the devil. He gonna trick you. He gonna play games with your mind.
There's no dun whenever you get the right answer, you know? So, what do we get out of this exactly?
Well, there's a lot of consequences to that.
There's even more consequences to being lied to, okay.
It could cause you to second guess yourself, but you could also hear something he said and hope that it's a lie, wish it's a lie, but be eternally consumed with doubt, unable to convince yourself that it is. Or maybe you gotta make a huge choice based on the information he gave you, and you'll be endlessly tormented by fear and indecisiveness as you realize that your fate rests entirely upon your decisions. And you're never gonna really actually remember the questions the devil asked you, by the way. That would make it too easy for you to go back and check on your responses. Maybe instead of testing your knowledge with a trivia question, maybe he's gonna ask you something personal, something you even lie to yourself about. You may answer back to him thinking you're correct. No, I don't resent my sister. Yes, I would turn the money into the police. But he'll know better. He'll know better than you that you're lying, and he'll be able to lie to you in return, and you'll believe him. You'll believe him until you're no longer able to deceive yourself, and in the end, that might be too late.
This just seems like a therapy session that you pay for in morality instead of money.
Yeah.
A therapy session for your soul.
There are particular ways to short-circuit his particular strategies, though. Additional rules and courses of action that make the game more interesting and prevent you from being stonewalled completely. Although he probably wants you to try these options. You could ask him a riddle instead of a question. If you somehow manage to stump him and he gets his answer wrong or gives up, he'll be obliged to give you a truthful response to your next question. If he answers the riddle correctly, once again, don't worry, he won't pounce on you like a sphinx and drag you into hell. What will happen is that he will get a pass, allowing him to lie in response to one question that he would otherwise be obligated to answer truthfully.
Okay, but why would you ever tell the devil a riddle? He knows the answer to all of them.
That's
right? That's his thing.
He invented riddles. He's the OG Riddler, guys.
It's like trying to cross your fingers behind your back when you're talking to Loki. He knows you're doing it. He's the one who crossed your fingers.
Option 2 to not playing with questions and answers is for you to take a dare from the devil. If you accept it and vow to follow through, then once again he'll have to answer truthfully. And if you reject it, he'll get another pass. Now, before you freak out and reject that whole idea completely, you should know he won't ask you to do anything overly dramatic or unspeakably evil, like murder someone or blow up a hospital. As a rule of thumb, they don't involve direct loss of life or any major felonies. However, they won't be easy. Inflicting severe pain on yourself, doing something that terrifies the shit out of you, cutting off a treasured relationship, publicly humiliating yourself or someone you love, all these things and more might be things that he would ask.
Sounds great.
If you're willing to go that far or to put yourself in that position, you'll get your answer. However, if he manages to come up with one thing you simply can't or won't do, well, then once again you might as well just quit. Don't think you can just tell him you're going to do the dare after the game and not do it. If you accept it and don't follow through, there will be severe consequences. Finally, when you've gotten your information, or you want to give up completely, you may simply end the ritual by thanking the devil for accepting your request, bowing politely at the waist, and bidding him farewell. The surface of the mirror will seem to swim and flicker for a moment, and then you will be looking at your own reflection again. Only when you are absolutely certain that you're looking into your own 2 eyes may you turn away from the mirror, flick the light back on, and begin dismantling your protections. Now, here's all the shit that can go wrong. First, when you're speaking with the devil, do not let him out of your sight. Keep staring into the mirror no matter what happens. He will undoubtedly try various tricks to make you look away. Oh, look over there! Or you'll hear voices behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Feel eyes on the back of your neck. See shadowy phantoms within the depths of the mirror. Cold breath will blow from behind.
I will say, of all of those things, you really can feel, like, you can feel somebody staring at the back of your head. It's weird.
Whatever he might test you with, do not look away from him. If you look away and lose sight completely, even for a second, you will look back at the mirror and find him gone. Well, not gone. Out of the mirror. In the room. With you.
Oh?
Exactly how much of your body the police will find in the morning and what state it's in will depend entirely on what sort of mood he's in. The same thing goes if you break any of the protections you laid down in the beginning of the ritual, interrupting the salt circle, letting the red string unwind, knocking over a candle or letting one go out. Any of these things will break him free from the mirror, and, well, then you're all a bunch of creative horror junkies. I'm sure you can fill in the blanks.
Yikes. Yeah, we're here.
Now, you may reach a point in the game, after a long series of maddeningly impossible questions, where the devil will ask you the deceptively simple question of, what is your full name? You must not give it to him. Names can be things of great power. Although the devil will, of course, already know your name, telling it to him yourself is like asking a vampire into your home. Your name is deeply synonymous with your own inner self, thus giving him your name is powerfully symbolic of giving him yourself. If you are foolish enough to make this mistake, all of your protections will be for naught, and he will seize upon your unwitting offer with malicious glee, stealing away your soul and dragging it back into hell.
Yikes.
At least this way, the police will find a complete, identifiable body. As a matter of fact, your vacant shell will be totally unblemished, seemingly have dropped dead from sheer terror. Last, but certainly not least, there's the matter of what happens if you go over the time limit. This is the arguably worst thing you can do. You won't think so at first. The devil will give you no indication that you have exceeded the time limit, and you will conclude the ritual as if nothing had gone wrong. Perhaps the devil's image in the mirror trembles and gives way, and you'll see a particularly nasty, triumphant smirk flash across his face, and you'll be easily dismissive of that. You'll turn on the lights, gather your belongings, and go to leave the room, but when you open the door, you see nothing. That's right, nothing. Just a flat white void extending infinitely in all directions. Only the room which, reflected in the mirror, will now exist. Incidentally, if you turn back around to face the mirror again, you may catch a last glimpse of your own reflection. Perhaps it will even turn and favor you with a smirk or a cheeky wave before sweeping out the door into a perfectly normal church hallway outside. As you may have already figured out, you yourself are no longer in the church, your soul is now trapped in the mirror, and the devil has taken the liberty of possessing your body now that you are no longer using it. You may pound on the glass and scream as all as you like, you'll never get out on your own, and no exorcist can help you. But don't worry, it's not like you're in hell, right? At least, not necessarily. Thoughts? Can you see why the last one is kind of like the worst outcome?
I mean, for what it sounds like, not only is this like quite a negative experience, if you literally move whatsoever...
The time limit is 66 minutes, just so we're correct.
Honestly, I was kind of expecting like 8.
But I mean, yeah, no, like if the devil gets a hold of your body, he can do whatever he wants, like go out on a murder spree, kill all your friends and family. This is why we're telling you don't play this game. Because, you know, you don't want all your friends and family to die.
Like, why would you do that?
That's a lot, you know? And it's not worth it. Even for that one relative that you're like, ugh, it's just not worth it. Oh, he only gets to use your body until sunrise. Then it will drop dead from strain of the possession. It's a lot.
Yeah.
There's several other really great ones on the Forgotten Dares page. Oh, The Devil Game is a song by Kansas.
Huh.
The band that did Carry On My Wayward Son.
See, yeah, sorry, this is just, like, really out of my depth, because, I mean, like, the furthest that people I knew in, like, junior high and middle school ever got was, like, that Bloody Mary thing. I remember everyone used to, like, talk about trying it, but everyone was way too scared to actually do it.
Yeah, if you want to find a real, actual Bloody Mary ritual, Sixpence does have one of those on their blog somewhere, because it's definitely not the whole,
Yeah.
turning off the lights and screaming into the mirror.
Yeah.
We used to play that, like, in elementary school.
I feel like that was our generation's, like, Ouija board when we were a kid. I feel like every kid's gotta, like, have some weird excursion into the supernatural territory. I mean, you just have that morbid curiosity and you see something that, like, brushes up to it. I mean, a big part of you probably doesn't want to know, but there's probably a small part of you that feels like they have to know. Because, I mean, it's a thing that seems like it wants to say it. This seems like a really awful way to try, considering, like, the outrageous levels. Think about trying to do something like this when you're in, like, middle school instead of just, like, yelling Bloody Mary at your mirror 3 times. Like, God.
Yeah.
This is a goddamn project.
This is some, like, crazy edgelord child shit.
Whew.
No, and now you can see why I gave this huge disclaimer of do not play this game. Like, I know we shouldn't have to say that, but just for the record, we're not telling your kids to play this game. We're not telling adults to play this game. We're telling no one to play this game.
Yeah, sorry, that's just a lot to...
Oh, yeah.
Spooky ad transition.
Hey, listeners. I've talked about the war on fleas in my home. What was it? A few weeks ago? A couple episodes ago? Finally received an email. Our first email to our
very first email.
Very first email. To the What Are We Talking About Q&A email and just, response email, I guess. This one comes from Kayla Schulte. It says, Dawn dish soap and lice comb are great for getting rid of fleas on your animals. So, thanks to Kayla Schulte. I actually, I happen to know this person that emailed us. We went to high school together. So,
thanks, Kayla.
Thank you. What are we talking about? Like, what'd you bring to the table? Well,
mine wasn't really, I wouldn't say quite as spooky in the same exact way, but it's still it's spooky and thematic, at least.
Spooky in theme, spooky in heart.
But today we're gonna talk about pumpkin lore.
What's that lore?
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that for now.
What's that lore?
Examining fall's most famous fruit. By the way, it's a fruit. It has a seed-bearing structure.
Oh yeah, do you ever bake pumpkin seeds when you make jack-o'-lanterns as a kid?
Yes, but that never really clued me into the fact that it was a fruit. I couldn't really say why, but,
It's also, you make pie out of it. It's a fruit.
I mean, I know.
What kind of vegetable pie do you make? Is rhubarb a vegetable? Or is that also a fruit?
I think it's a fruit. We could very easily look this up right now.
If we're wrong, just tell us we're wrong in our email, because we don't want to look it up. We're just going to live our lives assuming rhubarb is fruit.
So anyway, about this being a fruit and all. I mean, we everyone knows about pumpkins. I felt like now would be such an important time to talk about them, because I realized, like, you don't really think about pumpkins too much outside of the month of October, but I want to say in the last week or two, I have either interacted with a pumpkin physically or at least talked about said pumpkins with somebody, I want to say about 5 different times. And I gotta say, I mean, I feel like that really shows off how important pumpkins are to us. I gotta say, I especially love me a pumpkin. I mean, I love the fall, and it's very implicative of fall because of, our holidays and culture and stuff, but at the same time, I mean, orange is my favorite color.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like pumpkins are only really in style in October and November, and then it's like, fuck pumpkins,
Well, it's because that's when they rot, they all come out at the beginning of fall, and by the end of fall, they're gone, they're done,
It was their time.
And
Heaven gained many more pumpkin angels.
They really did. And you know what? I think that's the spooky part about my topic. The existential dread of the end of our lives. Not to mention the
life cycle of pumpkins.
The more of yourself that you give away, the faster you will rot. when you pull apart a pumpkin, you use the insides for like making stuff, and then you like carve up the face and everything to make it look pretty and stuff. But I mean, like whenever you tear yourself apart for someone else like that, you know, you rot. But I mean, like,
hey, we did learn plastic surgery can be deadly from Titty Titty Bang Bang.
Yes, we did. We really did.
So, Delantera Explosiva was the moral of the story.
It was quite something. Yes, in the sense that you're coming at it from, yeah, that's not so much a thing, but I meant more so in an action.
No, yeah, I want to make sure we're on the same page, and hey, it seems like
for many people, pumpkins represent little more than Halloween decorations, Thanksgiving desserts, and for others, they represent a bountiful source of culinary inspiration, the key ingredient in everything from bread to soup. Still others use them to showcase boggling garden feats, harvesting specimens of enormous dimension. Yeah, I gotta say, another reason I'm super hyped about the pumpkins is that you can plant them in Animal Crossing now. So, like, it's kind of like pseudo Stardew Valley. Except it's like the one plant that you can plant, I think. It's just pumpkins. But hey, I mean, it's a start.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think pumpkins are important to, I mean, I would say almost everybody. I'm not somebody that likes pumpkin spice things, but I mean, I become fully aware when it's pumpkin spice season because it's everywhere. And I'm not gonna shit on it because, hey, I like things that other people don't like, and, you know, I hope you don't shit on my extremely caramel coffee, so I won't shit on your extremely pumpkin nonsense.
So, the Los Angeles Times actually has a nice little, a little quote from a little poem, if you want me to read it here. I wasn't expecting this. Pumpkin patch, the jack-o'-lantern, the pumpkin pie. Fall is here. Peter Pumpkin Eater had a wife and couldn't keep her. He put her in a pumpkin shell, and there he kept her very well. That is a nursery rhyme about a man who buried his wife in a pumpkin? What the fuck?
Yeah, I never really understood that one. I guess I always kind of pictured like a pumpkin the size of a carriage, and he was just shoving that bitch in there and locking her up. Because, you know, something about old folklore, they love to lock women up for long periods of time.
Considering the state that our society used to be in, I'm not surprised to hear that. It's California's second biggest crop. Okay, here we are. John Greenleaf Whiter, the pumpkin, 1844. The jack-o'-lantern. Centuries ago in England and Ireland, candles were placed inside of hollowed-out beets, potatoes, and turnips. These were used as lanterns in All Hallows' Eve, and the annual night in which elves, fairies, and witches were believed to roam the land. When the festival's customs were brought to America, pumpkins became the vessel of choice, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard about. That was always, I believe that was actually an old warding trick. Actually, going back to something that we talked about in your segment, it was a warding trick that people used to do. They would actually dress up their gourds and potatoes and stuff like that to actually scare off demons and ghosts on Hallows' Eve, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. How do you feel about the superstition that you shouldn't blow out a jack-o'-lantern on Halloween?
I mean, that's probably comes from the folklore. I mean,
but do you follow said tradition?
No. I mean, I haven't made a jack-o'-lantern since I was.
And you're trying to live with me? Oh no.
I mean,
listeners, I will be putting a salt circle around the entirety of my house.
I mean, I haven't made a pumpkin since I was like a kid, and then once in high school with somebody. It's been a long. I mean.
Really?
Not really a... Yeah. I mean,
I didn't do one last year, but I always buy pumpkins. But the last time I carved one was freshman year of college.
I don't know. Like, the more I think about it, it's kind of a weird thing. Like, I don't really care all that much for, like, holiday traditions just for myself. I would like to do something like that with somebody, but if I'm just by myself on a holiday, I don't really care. Like, I mean, I haven't had a Christmas tree in my house in, like, the last 4 years. Or more, I think. Ever since I moved out. Well, I mean, we don't do anything.
Oh, no.
So...
Speaking of Christmas trees and spooky things, when you grew up, did your parents ever tell you that Satanists had upside-down Christmas trees? I don't think my parents told me that specifically, but that was definitely something I was told by adults as a child. And I'm always like, I don't think they really have upside down Christmas trees. I have seen that they exist, but also a lot of people have Christmas trees. Just normal ones. If you know someone who has an upside down Christmas tree, or you yourself have one, or if you're a Satanist and you want to debunk this, please write us an email. Because, like, I'm so confused. Like, I just thought of that. Where did I hear that? I don't know. But it was definitely a well-known thing among religious children.
Was it? Because I didn't remember.
I just remember that being like a fact. Straight fact. I mean, it probably wasn't a fact, but you know.
So a straight opinion.
A straight opinion. Straight fake fact.
An assumed generalized rumor.
Yeah.
Fake facts, as you call them. Would the tree itself be, like, grown and harvested upside down, or would it just be, like, glued upside down to the ceiling? This just seems like a lot of effort in two very, very illogical situations.
They don't hang it from the ceiling, I don't think.
Then what's the option? What's the other option, though?
And you can't grow a tree upside down.
I know. So, like, how? That makes no sense.
I think you just put it upside down in a special upside down tree stand for Satanist, question mark? But also, like, I don't think the Satanists do that, just so we're clear.
But the bottom of the tree is so much heavier than the top of the tree. It would just lean over. That's so dumb. That's so dumb.
I don't know where this started, who told me. I just remember that being a thing I heard.
They must glue it to the ceiling.
That would be smarter.
That'd be
kind of cool, like a tree chandelier?
Like a tree chandelier. You would need a special product. You need like a mounting holder, and then the holder would clamp down on the base of the tree whenever you like stuck it into the ceiling latch. See, this is why you gotta let me finish my
wow, that's an inventive idea, and we will be patenting
TM
for Satanist Christmas.
Totally stole that. Anyway, pumpkins are great, guys, and I know like everyone got like really up in arms for a while about people being annoyed about the whole pumpkin spice thing, which honestly, it is incredibly played out right now. I don't know.
It's like red velvet cake. Like, I'm over it.
It's kind of just it's a weird thing. Like, you expected it to just be like one weird seasonal drink that a company brings through, and then it's like over, and they do a new thing. But it's just like one of those things like the McRib, where people just got way too obsessed with it, and now like the company almost feels forced to bring it back now, and now there's a bunch of like fake faux versions of it. Okay, that's all well and good. We hate it. Let's move on. Expensive coffee is expensive coffee. Other pumpkin flavored things though are pretty great, and there are a lot of them, and have existed before the freaking pumpkin spice latte. Say your pumpkin pies. I was never really much one for them because I have a weird thing with sweets, but like a lot of people that I know really love a good pumpkin pie. A lot of people I know really love a good pumpkin seed. Gundam Tanaka, of course. And that actually, I remember in one of his free time events, he sort of like has a full Buffalo mentality with using all parts of the pumpkin.
Yeah.
That was weird. Now that I think about it. This is completely off topic. But also, a pumpkin is an orange of color. The orange color of the hue.
I thought you were trying to say a pumpkin was an orange, like the fruit, and I was like,
no. I was saying it weird, but then it sort of came out as me saying it wrong. A pumpkin is orange, and orange things are great because if you think about it, how many orange things like exist naturally in this world? I've always been really obsessed with like objects that have very, very unique hues, like natural objects.
Oranges, tangerines.
So like the like those citrus fruits, and like there's pumpkins and there's flowers. But what else is there other than the sunset? So like there's 5 things. Like it's wild to think, like it's a very unnatural thing. You know how to know if it's an uncommon color? If it's on a butterfly, because there's an orange butterfly too, the monarch.
Yeah, I almost was thinking there's some orange flowers and butterflies, but those tend to be more every shade.
Unique stuff too, yeah. I don't know, like it's those colors that appear so like unnaturally in the world. Blue's another really common one as well, which you only see on like super poisonous frogs and snakes and stuff, and like flowers in the sky. But that's it. I don't know. Color hue has always been a really interesting thing to me. Ever since I saw the Blue Man Group live. Because, wildly enough, like...
This is what the
see
Blue Man
that-
Group does to your children.
You see that as a kid, and it's just like... You think it's just like an entertainment thing, but I learned a lot about the color spectrum and how that worked that I never would have from my actual biology class when I was there. In fact, I had already taken biology, and we never talked about color hues or anything like that. It was so interesting. And I mean, on top of that, could you imagine seeing a show live, though, that like now, in general, but, do you think that, David Spade ever got in there and did any actual live shows after they got, like, connected and he, like, blew himself and everything, you know, on the show Arrested Development?
I wonder.
Because, I mean, they made that connection. I mean, like, he's got that ball. He could just put on a skin. Like, he could totally do it. He even blew himself. So anyway.
Oh! Sorry, you said David Blaine?
I said, did I? I'm pretty sure I did David
You did.
Spade.
You said David Blaine. I swear. And I was like, who? No. That's a David Spade alert!
Did I? I was so sure that I said David Spade. Uh-oh! David Spade. Alright, we gotta look up some David Spade facts now.
Look up facts about his childhood. That's what I want to know this time.
We already talked about his troubled childhood, though, I thought.
Did we?
Yeah.
I don't think we did.
It's David Cross.
Uh-oh, David Cross. Oh my god, we fucked up.
So much to cut out this episode, I swear. Uh-oh, David Cross. I did it again, guys. So...
Uh-oh, David.
Uh-oh, David. I don't care which David I actually said.
Should we just change it to uh-oh, it's David?
Oh, I'll tag it uh-oh, David this time, for sure. I'm not gonna read this one. Bill Cosby growing up with guns.
Really? I think that's an interesting,
That sounds like a real great way to just talk about a lot of controversial shit right now.
Fair.
I want some weird facts. I don't care about any of that. Ew, he was in a sketch comedy group in his fraternity.
Well, you know, we all gotta start somewhere.
Little known facts. Here we go. David was almost cast as Uncle Joey in Full House. That's cursed knowledge. David Spade, by the way. Weird to think about, right?
That is curse knowledge.
And I'll hit you with one more here. That one's just upsetting. I'm not reading that.
Well, no, now you have to.
David Spade was catfished by a fake Victoria's Secret model on Twitter.
When?
That's all it says.
Damn.
This is from his, like, thing that he's selling, so... Oh, yeah, it's a book. This is on Barnes & Noble page. And these are good. David Spade's not interesting.
Yeah, that new movie that was pretty decent.
Which one?
The Wrong Missy.
Grown Ups 2?
No. No. The Wrong Missy. It was on Netflix. It was really good. But it was mostly because of the gal that's in it, the main gal. She's really funny.
I've already got the history saved for obscure fact. I mean, it's obvious. We had to... Well, since you heard me say David Blaine, I might as well go with an obscure fact from him anyway. We'll just take a moment here.
Did you know he has a TED Talk on how to hold your breath for 17 minutes straight?
No, I didn't, but I knew that he once killed a pigeon with his mind.
What?
And
how?
And then he got his first special by levitating in front of studio executives, and Londoners did not like his 2003 magic stunt.
Which was?
I don't know. Okay, so I had to fucking look it up. It's, he fucking sat in a plexiglass box for 44 days in London. I'm not surprised why they were not super jazzed about it. Google search terms really,
David Blaine, I have so many questions for you. And I'm not saying that in a polite way.
Yeah, first question. Why you gotta be like that? Anyway, so... This brings me back to what we were talking about before we got oh so rudely interrupted by the David, which is...
Color theory?
Exactly. More specifically, the hue of orange. It is a secondary color. Yeah, we know that. Shades of orange. Okay, I don't need to know the definition of hue. Okay, cool. Orange is a safety thing. Yeah, it's a color that really sticks out. Other variations of orange. Wow, these are just all specific terms for
orange. See, that's what I say. Like, People say it doesn't matter, like, what you call what color, and it does. Because if you can know specific color names, then you can more easily get across what you want, especially as, like, a designer, a person in the artistic world, you know, anything like that.
Well,
you need to know color names.
See, I feel like it comes from a place that's kind of like you know, whether or not you're gonna need your math stuff when you grow up. I mean, those designers you're working in a space where you uniquely, like, you have access to all of the colors, and they are bound to, like, direct numeric values, and this wiki page is literally just numeric values for different shades of orange. And I gotta say, good job, wiki. That's really helpful. If I really needed to, I bet you a lot of designers use that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that I got a lot less out of that than I expected.
There are also, like, random color generators you can do online. A lot of artists will use them for, like, color swapping.
Yo, speaking of a random generator, I also found something insanely cursed last night. It was a website that randomly generates a phrase into a video of Obama saying things by cutting together different videos of him talking. Like, you just type a sentence in and it'll generate Obama saying that for you.
These deep fakes are getting too real.
No, it's not a deepfake thing. It's just, like, splices of his different interviews. It's kind of like what people did with the song lyrics thing. It's kind of like that. Also, yeah, deepfakes are scary, and I don't want to talk about them. Maybe that'll be a topic for some other time this month, since it is so spooky. Yamenone.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about deepfakes, but we'll have to get to that another time. There's just a lot to unpack there.
There really is. Especially since it's so new.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I just wanted to let our listeners know that I was recently on a podcast with Taffy. We had him as an early on guest on our show. His podcast is called Twisting It with Taffy. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts, just like with ours.
Hey, that thematically fits, because we talked about murder on his episode, too.
Twisting It with Taffy is a sex podcast, so I definitely don't recommend that for people under the age of 18, but you get to hear a lot of things, like the story of how I lost my virginity, the craziest place I've had sex, and what does penetration feel like? Because that was a curveball question he threw at me that it brought up a really interesting, like, discussion, because I just had never thought about that.
I'm sure that went some places.
It was interesting. It's cool to be on other people's podcasts and see how they do things, where they like to record, you know.
Yeah, and that will be exciting.
So go ahead and check it out. It's already out. Twisting It with Taffy, episode 2, a sex talk with Aubrey.
Also, if you're a new listener from the stream that I did on Friday, which is tomorrow, after the day where I recorded this, my brain's broken. Hey, what's up? Glad to have you, and we'll be sure to also be on there again. And we're also going to have another guest from
Wiener Nova.
This next time, I bet you. We got a lot of them over there, so we gotta get them in. I'm excited. I'm not quite sure who we'll have next, though. We'll see. But yeah, to end us off here, I had something new I actually wanted to try. I would really like to leave us with the prompt for next time. If anybody's interested, feel free to email us at wawtamail69@gmail.com. You know, we're talking about spooky stuff. Tell us some of your favorite things about the month. Maybe we'll next time we'll come in and talk about them, and, you know, if it's wild enough, it may end up becoming a topic. We'll see. I promise we'll credit you. But regardless, thank you for joining us today. And boo! Did I get you? Did I get you? Thank you, Juno.
Okay, I'll go.